Good morning, everyone. Dear Mr. Oliver Ropke, President of the European Economic and Social Committee, Honorable Prime Minister Rama, dear Mr. Silvio Gonzato, Ambassador of the Head of the Delegation of the European Union to Albania, Minister Luka, Minister Ibrahimaj, good morning, and let me welcome you once again for the second time in Tirana. I really highly appreciate your willingness to organize within a few days some activities in Tirana that have as their foundation the development of the social dialogue with the European Union. We had yesterday the regional meeting on social dialogue, increasing the quality of work and life through effective social dialogue in Western Balkans, a meeting with the representatives of the technical rapporteur institutions with a special group on fundamental rights and rule of law at the European Economic and Social Committee, and today, which is the first inaugural meeting for the Joint Consultative Committee with the European and Social Committee. I want to say a few words about the establishment of the Joint Consultative Committees based on the EU-Albania Stabilization and Association Agreement. We made our commitment to establish the Joint Consultative Committees respectively with the European Economic and Social Committee and with the European Committee of the Regions. In full coordination with the European Economic and Social Committee, our institutions and experts carried out a transparent process for the selection of 6 members, 6 observers, and the co-chair of the Albanian party in the Joint Consultative Committee. In cooperation with the most representative organizations of employers, that is the businesses, employees, the trade unions, and civil society, we have ensured that the composition of the Joint Consultative Committee for the Albanian side was as a similar reflection of the European Economic and Social Committee, as well as the typology and the nature of different social partners and other civil society organizations in this important committee. Thanks to the support and the goodwill of our European partners, which I take this opportunity to thank once more, but also to the dedication and work of the institutions and the commitment of our expert, we are here today in Tirana in this inaugural meeting of the Joint Consultative Committee with the European Economic and Social Committee. The Joint Consultative Committee is established with the task, as I said, of assisting the Stabilization and Association Council with the aim of discussing any issue that arises in the context of the implementation of the Stabilization and Association Agreement, including the process of Albania's accession to the European family. This committee will serve as a promoter of dialogue and cooperation between social partners and other civil society organizations in the European Union and in Albania. Such dialogue and cooperation are aimed at preparing the Albanian organizations, the employers, the employees, and other civil society organizations in order to prepare for the activities in the framework of the future membership in the European Union in order to strengthen the social dialogue, and not only. The organization of the first meeting of the Joint Consultative Committee in Albania, which falls at the beginning of this spring season, is in fact a very good omen for the continuation of our cooperation with the European Economic and Social Committee and the institutions of the European Union as a whole. So, as the first day of work for the Joint Consultative Committee, I wish it the very best, and we look forward to fruitful discussions today, but also in the future. And I also would like to wish a lot of success to the 2 co-chairs, the one from the European Union and the one from our side, and to also the members and all the observers in fulfilling their mission. And now I would like to give the floor to our Minister of State and at the same time Chief Negotiator, who has also played a crucial role in all the processes of Albania's integration into the European Union, Mrs. Majlinda Luka.
Thank you very much, Olta. Good morning, everyone. Dear Prime Minister, dear President, I would like to warmly welcome you all in Tirana. I'm very glad to participate in this first meeting of the Joint Committee between European Union and Albania. Congratulations to Albania and European Union to coming this far, sitting on the same table when it comes to economic and social dialogue. Albania is progressing steadily in its path to become a member of the European family. Each day there is a step forward. Today is for sure a step forward. Albania aims to sit, talk, and dialogue much closer with European Union institutions, and this is what we are doing today with European Union's Economic and Social Council. Thank you very much to President Robke for this great initiative of bringing our civil society, trade unions, business organizations, civil society organizations in the community of the Union. And we are glad to be able to contribute, and this is for sure an empowerment to our step to become a member of the family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Duka. And right now, I would like to give the floor to His Excellency Silvio Gonzato, Ambassador and Head of the Delegation of the European Union in Albania. Thank you so much, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Olta. Dear Prime Minister, dear President, dear Ministers and Vice Ministers, today's inaugural meeting of the EU-Albania Joint Consultative Committee is one more proof that Albania is resolutely moving towards the EU accession. As Commissioner for Enlargement, Marta Kos emphasized during a recent visit to Tirana, the accession process is a whole-of-society project. And this means that it simply cannot be left alone to the government and the Parliament of Albania. Civil society organizations must be given the space where they can play their part in the process. And let me, in this respect, echo the point made by President Rupke earlier this week that countries wishing to join our family should have a well-functioning social and civil dialogue before they formally become part of the European Union. And the reason for this is quite simple. Advancing towards the EU membership requires not only political commitment, but also citizen support and the active involvement of civil society. The joint committee we are launching today is precisely about providing the space for the organized civil society to play its role in this process. And by organized civil society, we mean social partners, so employers, associations, and trade unions, and all other civil society organizations. And what is the contribution that civil society can give to the accession process? A vibrant civil society, in its broader definition, is vital to ensure that citizens have sufficient influence on and ownership of the reforms leading to accession. And in this regard, civil society has also a responsibility to communicate efficiently to citizens and to be close to their constituencies so that the process is not seen as something remote and technocratic. The government can also benefit from sectoral hands-on expertise and knowledge during the accession process. And in this regard, the civil society organizations have to play a proactive role in the different platforms for consultation and participation in decision-making which are available to them, be it the European integration platforms or others like the media platforms that we've launched recently. And finally, a vibrant civil society is also vital to ensure that government's action is subject to CSO's scrutiny and monitoring, because the role of civil society is very important as part of the system of checks and balances for public accountability. And this is why in the EU accession context, participation and consultation of civil society in policy making is part of the fundamentals and therefore also a condition for accession. In this regard, the government and the Parliament of Albania took a number of commitments under the roadmap on the functioning of democratic institutions, which was adopted last year. This roadmap aims to promote the civic space and create a more enabling environment for civil society, including a more favorable tax environment with incentives, a conducive, flexible framework for voluntarism, and improved public consultations. And let me recall that the implementation of the roadmap on functioning democratic institutions will be key to measuring progress during the Cluster 1 negotiations. So I'm looking forward to assisting the government of Albania in fulfilling these commitments. We also appreciate the fact that the government of Albania, with EU support, carried out the evaluation of its last strategic document for the cooperation with civil society, which expired in 2023. It is now time for the government to share widely and transparently the conclusions of this evaluation with the civil sector and to build on its recommendations, because we need an inclusive and participatory exercise for the adoption of the new strategy, which will, amongst other things, detail more specifically commonly agreed measures for the support to civil society in line with the commitments taken in the roadmap. Ladies and gentlemen, around us, we see the space for civil society shrink more and more, and we see democracies threatened by information manipulation and disinformation, and key values such as diversity, equality, and inclusion questioned. Against this background, the European Union is doubling up its efforts to promote an independent and vibrant civil society, which is crucial for democracies. And in this context, also independent media are extremely important. Let me conclude by reiterating my personal appreciation for the role played by President Röpke in launching this initiative, and to the government of Albania for taking up this offer so quickly. I'm confident that the Joint Consultative Committee will contribute to a more inclusive and transparent negotiation process and to a more robust cooperation between the authorities on the one hand and social partners and civil society organizations on the other in carrying out the reforms ahead. To conclude, let me also congratulate all the selected members of the JCC, and I see also some familiar faces on this side of the table, and wish them good work for their first mandate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Indeed, social dialogue is of crucial importance, especially in this very important process of the EU integration. And I would like to join you in thanking Mr. Oliver Röpke, who has been instrumental in setting up this joint consultative committee with the Economic and Social Committee. So it is my pleasure to give the floor to Mr. Oliver Röpke. He is himself a former trade unionist, and he was elected as the president of the European Economic and Social Committee in April of 2023. He has been a member ever since 2009. He was the president of the European Economic and Social Committee Workers Group, a member of the EESC Bureau, and also a rapporteur of many of the resolutions that have been passed by the European Economic and Social Committee. So it is my pleasure to give the floor to him and to thank him, of course, for all the support that we have received throughout this process. The floor is yours, Mr. Röpke.
Thank you very much. Good morning, dear Prime Minister Rama, dear Edi, dear Ministers Duka, Goncha, Ibrahimai, dear Deputy Minister Manjani, dear Olta, dear Ambassador Gonzato, dear co-chairs and members of this Joint Consultative Committee, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would really like to start by saying how happy and proud I am to see all of you here for this inauguration session for this Joint Consultative Committee. And I'm very pleased about the nice words that I've heard. I just wanted to say at the beginning, this is really a collective exercise that we did over the last month and years. And I think it's really good to see that if we have the joint will to achieve something that we can achieve, this Joint Consultative Committee as one of the, I would say, the major steps towards full EU membership. When I was here last September, and I had the pleasure actually to discuss the setting up of this joint committee together with Prime Minister Rama and Minister and Chief Negotiator Duka, but also with representatives of civil society, employers, trade unions, NGOs here in Albania. I could see how passionate you are about joining the European Union, and therefore I think this is a big moment for our committee, but also for Albanian civil society. Since our last visit in September, there were a lot of positive developments for your country and Albania's relations with the European Union and with our European Economic and Social Committee. In October, you opened the Fundamentals Cluster, which was also a prerequisite for the Joint Consultative Committee to come to life. In December 2024, the legal base for this consultative committee was formally formalized. The end of the last year marked also another achievement. Albania opened an additional cluster of accession negotiations, Cluster 6 on external relations. This is no little achievement. In January this year, we had the pleasure to host in our European Economic and Social Committee a high-level delegation led by Deputy Minister Manjani in our European Economic and Social Committee to discuss the functioning of our committee and to give also inspirations for the Albanian side. I was really pleased to see how interested you were in our structures and to see how social and civil dialogue is functioning in our committee. But this joint committee that we are inaugurating today is, of course, not only about the government, it's first of all about the organized civil society. And by organized civil society, we mean social partners, employers, trade unions, all other civil society organizations. Our European Economic and Social Committee was always supportive of the enlargement process towards the Western Balkans, but also the Eastern Partnership, I have to say. And at the same time, we think, and this Ambassador Gonzato just pointed out, we think that we cannot start early enough to strengthen structures and to empower civil society, social partners in candidate countries. I think in the past we made the mistake that we started often too late as European Union to engage with the civil society very seriously. So I hope that we will do it this time differently, and I'm really positive and optimistic when I look to Albania, because this is not the first time that I'm here, and I can really see how vibrant is civil society and also how excellent is our cooperation with the Albanian government. So I think these are excellent conditions to continue the path towards the European Union. Now we inaugurate this joint consultative committee. We have already some of them, but not a lot, but we have some of them in the Western Balkans with Serbia and with Montenegro. And this committee will follow from the point of view of the organized civil society, the accession negotiations, and will issue concrete recommendations to the Albanian authorities and to the EU institutions. And as I said yesterday, I'm convinced that this committee will not be a formal exercise, a formal body. No, it should be really a participatory instrument that should empower you to be active part of this accession process. And the closer the cooperation, the better the expected results. And this is the reason why we fully trust the Albanian government to take the recommendations of this body also into account. Issuing regular reports to the Albanian side of the Joint Consultative Committee on the implementation of the joint recommendations of this body could be an excellent practice. This process is an opportunity to build confidence between the authorities on one hand and social partners and civil society organizations as a bridge between the authorities and the citizens on the other. I'm really pleased of the impeccable, transparent and inclusive selection process for the members of the Albanian side of this joint consultative committee. And I'm also extremely pleased to notice that all 6 members of the Albanian side of the joint consultative committee are also enlargement candidate members of the European Economic and Social Committee. We had the opportunity yesterday to discuss among us the state of play of this initiative. And I have to say this groundbreaking initiative of our committee that was launched in February last year, and we had the honor to welcome Prime Minister Rama to this inauguration session. This initiative enabled representatives of organized civil society from the candidate countries to actively participate in our work and the elaboration of our opinions. You were concretely able to actively contribute to opinions on the cohesion policy and EU enlargement, and on labor skills shortages in transport, energy, infrastructure, and the digital sectors. But it's not only about the opinions. It's not only about your contribution to the opinions. First of all, it's about the process. It's about the process that you are part of an EU institution, and you can enjoy the advantages of an EU membership already before becoming an EU member. And I think this is this concept of partial integration, and this is actually the concept that we follow in the EESC. I am also happy that some Albanian ECMs will soon be invited to participate in the elaboration of our next opinion. And I'm also pleased to say that this initiative will continue, because the assessment was absolutely positive, and the European Commission decided also to further support this initiative. And I would like really to personally thank Commission President von der Leyen, because without her personal support, it would have been very difficult to have this initiative. So I think this is very good news for all of us. And these 2 days here, or 3 days actually, in Albania, where our committee is so present, I think they mark really an important milestone that Albania is, I won't say, I will avoid the word frontrunner, I would say one of the best performers for becoming an EU member. Our ad hoc group on fundamental rights and the rule of law is here. This group carries out missions to all EU member states, and we decided some time ago that this group should now also visit all candidate countries. The colleagues have been already in Moldova and in Serbia, and now they are here in Albania. As I said, I'm convinced that Albania is really close to becoming one or maybe the best performer in the EU accession negotiations, and really with all my heart I wish you to live up to your ambition to open all the clusters of negotiations by the end of this year, and then close all the chapters by the end of 2027 in order to become a fully fledged member by 2030. I know that this is an ambitious target, but I think with synergy and goodwill for the cooperation between the authorities, organized civil society and citizens, nothing is impossible. And let me say a last word, because we always mention the principle of merit-based accession, and I think this is, of course, fully valid. But we should not use the term merit-based to delay a procedure. I think we should really be fair, and we know that in the past, I think we left some countries too long in the waiting room, and I think we should not make the same mistake here. So I'm absolutely positive that we can conclude this process as foreseen and as you wish. And I would once again like to thank the Albanian government, and especially President Rama, for his great support, also support to the European Economic and Social Committee. I think this was really and is really a win-win situation. And I wish all of you fruitful discussions and conclusions, and all success for this joint consultative committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. You made an excellent review of all the work and the challenges that this joint consultative committee will be facing in the future. And also, once again, thank you so much for all the support that you have given us throughout this process. And now it is my pleasure to give the floor to the initiator, the promoter, and the staunch supporter of this initiative. As Mr. Ropke also mentioned, the Prime Minister Rama has been really supportive throughout this whole process, and we've been in Brussels also to see the Assembly's meetings and how the social dialogue actually works in practice. So it is my pleasure to give the floor to Prime Minister Rama. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There is an obligation when you start a speech to say it's a pleasure. But I truly am very pleased to be here today, together with the President of the European Economic and Social Committee, Mr. Ropke. I can say our dear friend and dear friend of Albania, Oliver, for this inaugural meeting of this joint consultative committee between Albania and the European Economic and Social Committee. We value it especially because thanks to the openness and to the readiness of the President and his team, we have been welcomed within the castle of Brussels as equal, and we have been given the opportunity to feel how it feels to be equal in that castle. So this is quite special. And on the other hand, I'm truly excited that the committee will serve the purpose of enhancing and of helping our stakeholders to grow and to become an important part of the Albania membership and the Albania participation in the life of the European family as an equal member soon, I hope, and I wish. It has been a long journey, as was elegantly mentioned by the President, with a lot of situations in which we found ourselves trapped. But I must say that we are now living a moment in time when Brussels and the European Union has surprised us with very strong will and with very clear readiness to get us in. And in my memory, is the first time since we have started this long journey more than 30 years ago that our stars are aligned with the stars of the European Union, not just in terms of the future and the perspective, but in terms of the now. Because, of course, the European Union has always been very careful to say that our place is in Europe, that one day we'll be in Europe, that the horizon is the place that will unite us. But we never felt what we are feeling lately, the readiness to make it happen and to make it happen now. Of course, this is related not just to our good work, but also to the overall situation within our continent and beyond our continent. But what I'm trying to tell every day to my collaborators and to the people is that the door is opened and we should take this opportunity and do the utmost to be in when the door will close again, because we know how it works. The castle opens the door and then closes the door, and there are them who have been faster in entering and finding themselves in when the door was closed, and there are them who remained out. There are a lot of people trying to say today that it will not happen, that what we are trying to tell, that we should mobilize, we should make our best to put all the energies in this direction is just an illusion, or is propaganda, or whatever, because if it didn't happen in 12 years, why it would happen in the next 4 years? But, of course, these people are not very well informed that Montenegro opened the negotiations in 2012. Serbia opened the negotiations in 2014. North Macedonia had a different name when it became candidate in 2005. And today we found ourselves in the first line, after having opened officially the negotiations last year, and this year, as Mr. Ropka said, we have a good chance to open all clusters and all the chapters. So it's the momentum that we need to deal with, and I can't be more grateful to the president, and I mean it, and to his team, who, by the way, I have to say it, have also a very different smile than the typical official smile of Brussels. It's different. Maybe because they work with the freest part of the European society, which is civil society, trade unions. Trade unions should be an interesting thing to be a trade unionist, because you have the chance to say everything bad about the government, but you are not supposed to fix anything that the government is supposed to fix. So I would like to be a trade unionist, and I'm sure that I would be the biggest pain on the neck of the government led by me. Anyhow, so I really want to conclude by saying that President Röpke is one of Albania's dearest friends and colleagues, and is also, I'm sure, the best luck we had, because I know that soon he has to be replaced, but what has been built, I hope, will not be destroyed, but will serve as a foundation to build upon. And our journey is a journey that we appreciate as a unique blessing, which comes with the fact that we are in the middle of Europe, and so we can use the whole knowledge and all the tools of the European Union to work and to make sure that we live a deep transformation. And I always say that when you go back in Albania's past and you try to find who had a past comparable to ours in terms of the pain, in terms of the dark, you have to go out of Europe to find. And there are similarities with countries where Europe and where the Western world has tried to change the course of history, but has failed. Afghanistan, Iraq, you name it. But I believe that the main reason why these exercises have failed is not what is usually said. I think the main reason is that these countries have not the bless to be in the middle of Europe and to have the European Union at the next door, giving them the knowledge of state building, the knowledge of how to build a democratic state, how to build institutions, because at the end it's all about institutions, and you know it very well. And without the European Union and without this huge source of knowledge, I'm sure that based on our history, based on what we have been given from our history, would never be able to be where we are today. Yes, we got free 30 and 5 years ago, but freedom is one thing and democracy is another thing. And I believe that if you take out the European Union from the picture and you try to imagine what Albania would be today, it's impossible to believe that we would be where we are. Of course, we have a lot more to do, and it goes without saying, but the reason why I'm praising so much the European Union is to consolate myself and to consolate the others about the pains that you have to endure when you have to deal with the European Union. It's not, you know, the end is positive, but the journey is not so positive, you know, so the journey is quite painful, yes. But you have to go through it, and we are trying, and we are succeeding in enduring the pain and in giving ourselves all the reasons to keep going without giving up. And this gathering today pleases me and pleases us, I'm sure, very much, because it's a concrete picture, is a concrete event of how it feels to be together and what does it mean to be together. And thank you, Mr. President, for having been a true trade unionist in breaking the Brussels glasses for us and in bringing us in with your techniques of trade unionist, which are very much appreciated in this case. And so I don't know what will be your next job, but be sure that Albania will always offer you a job if Brussels will be revengeful and will try to let you down. So anytime you need a job, come to Albania. I can offer you every job except mine.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I think everyone here echoes your sentiment that this is one of the most important and historic milestones in joining the European Union, the setting up of the Joint Consultative Committee. I would like to announce that we're going to soon have a break and come back with the second session. Thank you so much.